What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Today we are going to do a Thor spectating video by request. We are going to be once again looking at Nevix. This is his second account, so he is playing Nevix 2, and he will start off the game as Hela. So if you see a little bit of Hela for the first couple minutes, feel free to skip ahead, do anything like that. So let's get right back into the replay, and we will kind of talk about what we're looking at in this replay. So the previous Thor spectating video that we did was on the other map. I think it was Tokyo, right? I think it was Tokyo. And we see a lot of like Thor flanking sort of action going on. He's able to distract the enemy team, get a couple picks on the sidelines, do all that sort of thing. But in this one, you're going to see a lot more of a Thor frontline play, and I think the biggest thing that I noticed was that he does play frontline, allows the Strange to step off point for a second, so that they can make sure that that point isn't gaining too much ground, and then if he sees a 1v1 that he wants to take as Thor on the side, he'll typically peel off to make sure his team doesn't get flanked. This game is also going to turn into a mirror match, so it is going to be Cloak and Dagger, Strange, Luna, Thor, Loki, and Namor. So it is going to be a wet noodle fight at some points because they have 3 stalling support ults, and it's going to get there. So this first point, they're just trying to stall the enemy team. I don't think Hela's a crazy good pick here just because they have so much sustain against 3 healers. I don't think she's going to be able to kill anyone unless she gets a pick or, you know, like double headshots someone at least. No one's really going to die. You can see she'll do a couple things where she's firing into a mass of people here, and they're just going to be able to heal it up and not worry about her too much. So I think that's why he makes the decision to switch. He needs to match the 2 tanks and then all of that sustain just so that they can stop this payload, try and stall for overtime, and then play for overtime. I think that's the rationale behind it, but if there is a better rationale that any of you can think of, definitely leave a comment. Let me know. So his Loki has already farmed ult, so we see the first Luna ult coming out. So they're just going to back up, pretty much give the enemy team this hallway. The enemy Loki ult comes out, Loki ults the Luna, make sure that they can push forward without too much trouble. And they're just kind of stuck in this hallway, not able to do any meaningful damage to the other team. His real Luna ult comes out, so they're able to push the enemy back a little bit, make sure that they're not dying. But as you can see, again, Hela is not doing a whole lot to this enemy team. So a little bit unfortunate there. The Thor has already farmed ult, gets a pick on his Luna, and he has farmed ult here. I think at this point, I probably would have used it knowing that he's going to switch, but I think a lot of people also get put into the trap where they build their ult and they say, oh, well, I got Hela ult, I need to stay on Hela, use my ult, and then I'll switch. But he just opts to take the 50% ult charge to a character that he thinks he's going to get more value on, which I think is a really good call, I think, at this point. It's like he's realizing that that's going to be more contribution to his team, both in the short run and the long run, and he can start building towards another ult if he lives long enough. So his whole team just falling back, letting the enemy take a little bit of space, and they're going to fight for this corner up here, immediately popping his F, starting to just pump a bunch of damage into the enemy team. Drops behind the Strange shield as the enemy Strange goes in for an ult. And as you can see, he's already pretty much back to a full ult charge. He's at 80%, so it doesn't even take him too long to do it. We are just going to get a big death ball fight here for the next probably 5 minutes or so, 3 or 4 minutes. So he's just standing here doing as much damage as he can, putting a lot of pressure on the enemy team, trying to get that frontline damage, make sure that no one gets too deep into his backline, and if they do overextend, he turns on them. Goes in for this Strange, tries to put a little pressure on him, so he backs up, uses his F to kill the Namor squids. Knows Namor has no left shift here, and he does have ult, so dives in, sees the Luna ult come out. Namor is not standing in it, so he's able to just run him down with that. Single out someone on the side, take that sort of 1v1 almost situation, and the enemy Luna ults. So now they should not have Cloak and Dagger ult, Luna ult, or Loki ult. So no more defensive ults on the enemy team. They should be able to take someone out. The enemy Thor goes over here trying to get a KO, but he's not able to get anything. So going right back in, stepping in front of the Strange, letting Strange recuperate a little bit. Again, standing behind these shields so that the enemy Strange cannot get him with the ult. Taking out the Namor squids and taking high ground as they push the enemy team back. Sees them more over on the right-hand side here. Knows that that's going to be an issue if he gets in their backline. So takes the 1v1. Thor's probably going to win that. I don't think you would ever win a 1v1 with Thor. There's only a few characters that could probably do that. Takes the Namor out very easily and staggers him as the enemy is regrouping for a push with just under 2 minutes left on the clock. So as you can see, they've completely matched the enemy team. It's a complete mirror match, and they're sitting on no ults at the moment. Well, yeah, they just have to worry about Cloak and Dagger ult, but his Loki almost has ult, he almost has ult, Namor almost has ult, so we're pretty close to getting another wet noodle fight over here. Namor ults his backline, just wants to turn around real quick to see if anyone needs help. Gets the Thor low while he's building his ult charge, keeping the eye on that Namor, making sure he doesn't get too deep of a flank, making sure they can keep the enemy in front of them. His Loki ult comes out and ults the Luna, so they're going to be able to stay pretty safe for the next, what, 15 seconds or so? Something like that. Sees the Luna in the back, pushes through the enemy team and takes her out so they don't have to worry about her ult. And it was coming up in 2%, so they might be able to get a little bit more pressure. Loki ults Luna though, so he's able to keep the team alive in her absence. Sees the Cloak and Dagger behind him, goes again for the 1v1, takes her out with ease, and gets right back onto the point to help out his Doctor Strange. His Doctor Strange is taking quite a bit of damage, but again, sees the Namor on the side, making sure that this guy doesn't get too much of a flank, pops his left shift, and the Namor is back where they can all see him. Follows him around a little bit, kind of fakes, and then takes him out too. Sees the Thor going for the side, focuses the guy on the side yet again, and I think that's what he really does well in this replay. The Strange has the front pressure that he can kind of absorb, but Nevix is really just focusing on anyone that is going to be a flanking issue, keeping the enemy in front of them, making sure that they can get value that way. Gets damage amped and quickly shifts out. I see a lot of people get damage amped by Cloak and Dagger and they just run in and get absolutely fried, so good play there. His Luna ults, the enemy Luna ults, so nobody should die in this little part either. His Doctor Strange ult, they're not able to take out the Thor here, or anyone else for that matter, since Loki ult comes through, which is another Luna ult. Namor ults, and he goes for another kill here, but there is still a Luna ult going, I believe, so he's not able to get a kill. They do get full 6 for 0'd, and the enemy team will be able to take this first point, round this corner, and get this next checkpoint before overtime expires. They did hold them off in overtime for a pretty long time, so only a minute and 30 seconds left on the clock where they need to hold the enemy here. This can be a pretty long stretch here too. Gets a ton of damage on that Thor and is actually able to take him out before he gets behind the Doctor Strange shield. Goes right in, spends his Thor force, spends the 3 to get his F. Builds more by auto attacking as well. After you use an ability, your hammer should be glowing. If you auto attack, you'll build another Thor force too. I know a lot of people were asking about how he's building so much Thor force too. Your melee swings build it, and your E also builds it based on the amount of targets that you hit. So make sure that you're hitting at least 2 targets with your E, and you should be getting plenty. Going right back in, focusing on this Doctor Strange since he's kind of alone in the back line. Unfortunately, he drops behind the Strange. And playing this high ground up here, making sure that they don't have to worry about that. Sees the Thor drop down, a little bit isolated, and opts to go for him. Again, focusing on the flanks, making sure that that high ground is clear so his team only has to focus on the front. The Loki ult and the Luna ult come out from his team. The Luna ult comes out from the enemy team. So once again, we are going to be looking at a wet noodle fight. His Doctor Strange does blow ult here, and he tries to combo with his ult. Unfortunately, not able to get everybody that was underneath him, but he does end up killing the Luna. The enemy Loki does ult, so the enemy team should not take too much damage for a while here, but they do get the Strange once it fades, and he's once again posturing on the point, making sure that he is clearing that off. But again, seeing the flank on the side kills the Loki, forces them no more into his shift, and with the Doctor Strange dead, they usher in the victory of that round at least with a score of 2-0. So feeling pretty good. That was it's I like the death ball fights like that, honestly, especially as a healer. I know some people are just like, there's way too much going on the screen, but I think those are the most fun fights where just everyone's being healed, everyone's doing damage, and you're just looking for that little shift in pressure or someone getting picked that is the cornerstone for the whole fight. Again, gets damage amped here, plays some good line of sight, uses his F to get a little bit of an overshield while he falls back. Still is line of sight from his healers though, so I would have probably gotten in line of sight of them a little bit quicker, but is able to get topped up pretty quickly. Falls back to make sure he can get back to full HP before he goes right back in, charges his left shift, goes like that. Also does a good job of taking out a couple of these Loki clones throughout this game. If you're not killing Loki clones, you are crazy, man. It's the duplication of the healing and the damage. It's just so much that you can avoid. And we have done plenty of Loki videos on this channel, so you can see firsthand how much healing those can do. His healers are actually MVPing it right now too. He drops really low there and is topped off very quickly. Enemy Namor ult comes out, unfortunately getting rid of 2 of his healers, all 3 of his healers, and he just has to back up, but his F is actually still going, so he can't left shift to high ground there. That's something that I did not know / think about. I guess I knew it, but would never have thought that would be an issue. But he still has his F going, so he's not able to escape there. But respawning with the rest of his team is also fine. It's 5 ults to 5 ults, so this should be another death ball of a fight here. We see the enemy Doctor Strange ult come out, and he tries to body block for his Luna. Not able to save her, but that is okay. He sees the Namor in the back line, but kind of opts to ignore him here. Play on point a little bit. I think he probably should have gone for the Namor in the back line just because he wasn't standing on any of these support ults. Luna ult from the enemy team comes out. His Doctor Strange ult comes out. But the enemy team is going to stay pretty safe just because of that Luna ult. Loki ult comes out, and they should be expecting another Luna ult here. And there is another one there, including his Luna ult as well. The enemy Thor ults, so everyone's just blowing ults all over the place. No one should be dying as well. Sees the Thor on the wings here and tries to run him down with the Wolverine. Don't even think he gets the assist on that, but he was there for moral support, and we love that. Sees the Namor on the flank here, pops his F, quickly takes him out with the help of the Doctor Strange. And they're able to push forward and get a lot more space here once a couple people are taken out. They staggered the Doctor Strange pretty well here. 2 seconds on the Loki coming up and 6 seconds on the Strange. Goes to high ground, make sure that they can push people off of that. Unfortunately, the map just decides that he doesn't want to have high ground, so goes and hangs out in this little cubby over here, waiting for the enemy team. Because this was the choke that they were able to hold so effectively last time. Wants to make sure that they get through this without too much trouble. His Loki and his Luna actually get a really nice 2-piece on the Thor and the Namor, which did rhyme, but we're going to blow past that. And having 2 down going into this little corner right here is definitely where you want to be sitting. Stepping up a little bit, trying to create a little bit of space, but not stepping too far forward because you can get isolated and taken out pretty quick. And the enemy doing a good job of just playing line of sight here. Wolverine gets a really nice kidnap on the Doctor Strange, though, which is going to be a big swing for this fight. His Doctor Strange tries to ult and kill the Cloak and Dagger, but Luna ult from the enemy team comes out. Loki ult from his team copies the Luna ult, and they're all just going to be staying alive. But he does see the Namor on the flank again, wants to make sure that this guy does not get behind him. Namor gets frozen, pops his left shift, so he knows that he shouldn't have that for a little bit of time in case he wants to commit an ult here shortly. And the enemy Doctor Strange goes into ult, but his Luna ult should keep everyone pretty safe. Enemy Luna ult, which is actually Loki ult, comes through. Again, playing on this point, making sure that they keep control of it. And the enemy support ults all fade, so he can use his Thor ult offensively, take a couple people out in the back line. And they should just be able to run down this Namor and the Thor, get them off point, and get this second checkpoint, I should say. This is very different than the other game I spectated too. Lots of different ways you can play Thor. I think especially in this situation where he's matching their team, he has to kind of match the Thor as well. Their Thor is playing frontline, so he also has to kind of play frontline. If he was just sitting in the wings this whole time, he would be doing hardly anything, probably building less ult charge and just having less impact all over. So it is interesting. You can just match someone's comp and just play it better, and you might get a dub that way. So overextends just a little bit here as healers are able to keep him alive. Still just using a lot of his Thor force on his F. Whacking and thwacking. Loki lamps come out. His Loki ends up Luna ulting, his Doctor Strange ults, and they're actually able to get a 3-piece off of that. He makes it 4, takes out the Doctor Strange, and the Namor just sitting on point trying to stall that a little bit, but ends up staggering himself. I probably wouldn't have done that because now he's just 8 seconds and they don't have him down. With the way that spawn room works, though, it shouldn't make a huge difference. Goes right back up to high ground, again making sure that the flanks are clear for the rest of his team. And they're going into this last point just with Wolverine ult and Cloak and Dagger ult. His ult should be coming up soon, but the enemy team should have 3 stall ults to take this pretty closely into overtime. He does get a Doctor Strange ult, but his team is able to just soak up that pressure. His Luna ults to keep them alive after the fact, but they do lose Loki in the process. Nevix is looking at his Thor ult, so just need to wait out all of these support stall ults that will out heal Thor ult, and then we can start getting a little bit of pressure with that. His Doctor Strange ults, the enemy Namor ults. Don't think they're able to get a whole lot out of that, especially because the enemy Loki copies Luna ult, keeping his team safe. Just whacking around on point here, doing what damage he can, making sure to keep that point under their control. And once all the support ults are gone, he goes right in with ult, taking out the Luna, and they're able to get a 3-piece and secure the victory with a score of 3-2. So I know that was a lot of just deathball gameplay, but I hope that was a little bit of a different gameplay than you'd seen before. You know, we did watch a flanker one last time, and this was a little bit more frontline Thor. So he does get MVP this game. He goes kind of crazy here, plays exactly what his team needs, swaps to what they need, swaps off that Hela pretty early. And as you can see, he goes 23 and 4, does almost 40,000 damage, and blocks about 40,000 damage as well. The damage this game was really high. All the healers really pumped, so very even battle. Makes sense for a mirror match, but I think matching that team and then his team switching to Wolverine also helped deal with those tanks where they were struggling. So try this character out too. Leave a comment what you want to see next. Like the video if you liked it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.